Holy God of welcome, you prepare tables in ordinary places. Kitchen counters, front porches, sidewalks warmed by late sun. Teach us the way of genuine love, to honor one another, to rejoice in hope, to be patient in trouble, to persevere in prayer. Spirit, who gathers the church, breathe through our homes and our habits. Take our small hellos and grow them into room for names, stories, chairs pulled wide. Where fear narrows us, widen us. Where hurry hardens us, soften us. Where loneliness sits silent behind a half-closed door, give us courage to knock. Jesus, host of the table, you broke bread with glad and a generous heart. You fed the hungry, you noticed the tired. Show us the needs of our neighbors. A listening ear, a simple meal, a ride at dawn, a hand with a heavy box, the grace to linger when tears arrive unplanned. For the sick, pour comfort. For the grieving, steady their steps. For the anxious, grant quiet in the night. For those unseen on our street, let your kindness find them through us. For those we've avoided, give us a brave first word and then a second. Make our church a hearth, not a hall, a people who practice hospitality, not just praise it, sharing what we have, praying as we go, opening what we guard. Bless our children to grow fluent in welcome. Bless our elders to anchor us in faith and patience. Bless our daily work to become a sacrament. Tea in a mug, bread on a plate, love in a voice that says, there is room for you. We pray, God, that you would set before each of us one person, one step, one time, that you might write on our hearts before we write on our calendars an invitation to your grace. An invitation that might sound like, come in, sit down, be fed, be known. We ask this in the name of Jesus, who keeps the door open and the lights on. Amen. If you've ever read the book, the children's book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, I referenced it a few weeks ago. You know how it goes. If you give a mouse a cookie, the mouse is eventually going to want a glass of milk because milk just makes cookies better, right? The story's cute, it's silly, but there's a simple truth tucked in there. Kindness opens appetite. A small act of welcome can awaken deeper needs. We've been learning to live as neighbors, starting with a simple hello as a way of initiating connection. And as we connect, we pray that we'll become curious, not judgmental. We might seek to better understand the people we are connecting to. That's the point of connecting. And today we want to take another step, a next step, to move from hello to being helpful. From I see you to I'm making space for you. The Bible has a word for that. It's hospitality. Making room in our lives so that others can belong and be nourished. In other words, it's not just the cookie, it's also the milk. Whatever would truly bless and sustain the person in front of us. We need to remember to offer the milk. This is how the early church thought about it. A reading from the book of Romans, the 12th chapter, the 9th verse and following. Paul writing really kind of a summary of his whole thought. He says, let love be genuine. Hate what is evil, hold fast to what is good. Love one another with mutual affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. Do not lag in zeal. Be ardent in spirit. Serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope, be patient in affliction, persevere in prayer, contribute to the needs of the saints, pursue hospitality to strangers. Paul, for as much as we beat him up, he's hard to understand in many places. It's difficult he's got this whole kind of legal argument he's trying to make, and I know some of you love that kind of stuff, but most of us, we read that and we're like, come on now, what are you really trying to say? This feels to me like a pretty good summary. This feels to me like a pretty good snapshot of the kind of life Pastor Paul would be inviting us to live. This is the kind of life that Pastor Sean, it's me, is inviting us to live. The life hasn't changed, right? Following Jesus is the same today. How we do it is different, but the idea about pursuing hospitality with strangers is not a new idea. It's something we still wrestle with. The posture of a hospitable people, in Paul's language, it's active. Love, honor, serve, contribute, pursue. Hospitality isn't just be friendly if you have time. Can you hear me? Hospitality isn't just if you get around to it. It's not something you just tack on to your busy life. Hospitality is something we're going to pursue. It's philoxenia, love of the stranger. Love of the stranger. A practice we're meant to chase, to pursue. Who could do such a thing? How would that be possible? A second reading for us today from the book of Acts. This is a continuation of Luke's gospel. So Luke has been telling the story of Jesus' life. He's been trying to depict everything that he's got all these witness accounts, and he writes this story of Jesus' life. And this is the continuing story as Jesus has ascended to heaven pretty early in the book, and how the apostles begin to live out the mission that Jesus has set them on. Right? The Acts of the Apostles. The Acts of the people of Country Club, right? It's meant to be a continuation, something we do even today. Hear these words in Acts chapter 2, verse 42 and following. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayers. Awe came upon everyone because many wonders and signs were being done through the apostles. All who believed were together and had all things in common. They would sell their possessions and goods and distribute the proceeds to all as any had need. Day by day, as they spent much time together in the temple, they broke bread at home and ate their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having the goodwill of all the people. And day by day, the Lord added to their number those who were being saved. Sometimes we in the church have wrestled with evangelism strategies. How might we grow the church? That's what we've oftentimes meant by evangelism. Sharing the faith, sharing the good news has really been a way for us to get more people to come be a part of a movement called the church. We really don't need any other strategy than what you find right here in the book of Acts. Hang out together. Do life together, eat meals together, share with one another. If you want to know what will change the world, if you want to know what will impact our neighborhoods, it is this. Some of you heard me talk about selling their possessions and sharing everything in common, and you said, what a bunch of communist, socialist malarkey. Right? I don't know, we live in a pretty affluent part of the city right here, right? And I don't know that we hear this very well. If you want to know why we're struggling in our city, if you want to know why our churches struggle, I don't talk about just Country Club, but I'm talking about Christianity in general. The United Methodist Church has declined in membership every year since we became United Methodist. There are pockets of churches that have more members today than they had once upon a time. But friends, Christianity is on the decline. In many places, right? I'm not telling you anything you don't know. If you wanted that to be different, here's my suggestion to you. Live like Jesus. Period. We really don't need any fancy gimmick. Hang out together. Eat meals together. Share what you have with one another. Most of the world doesn't do that, and that's why it's so radical. That's why it's so powerful. All right, that's really not my sermon. That was the sermon within the sermon. The play within the play. This is what the early church did, though. This is what hospitality looked like in the early church. And I want to suggest to you it can be what it looks like today. It's devotion, shared table, glad and generous hearts, not extra credit. Right? Not just one of the many things we do, but the thing we do. It's how the Spirit grows community. So a cookie is to milk as connection is to care. A hello is meant to open a door. Hospitality sets the table. Hospitality is about meeting the needs. It's about caring for one another. A friendly wave on the sidewalk, that's what we started with because that's the easy first step. That's the cookie, right? That's the beginning part. It's beautiful. But most of us know beneath the wave, there's a life. The people we encounter are real people with real histories and real hopes and real dreams and real struggles, just like us. Yes? Maybe? So we wave hello, but that neighbor who just moved in maybe doesn't know anybody else in the neighborhood. Maybe there's a single parent who's just running on fumes, just trying to get by. There's a college student who's missed meals because it's finals week and they're cramming and crushing and trying to get it all done. And we're at the beginning of a school year, but I'm telling you, it doesn't take long before the weight of all of that catches up with us, yes? Well, we're a couple weeks in. We're probably already starting our first couple of assessments, our first tests. Yes? And that's why curiosity is so important. So we wave, we say hello, we begin to initiate a relationship, and we kind of see where it goes, but curiosity should kick in. Who are these people who live across the street or down the hall? What are they about? What's going on in their lives? What makes them tick? Because people will rarely say, thanks for the cookie, but I really would like some milk to go with that. Love learns to ask gently, would you like some milk? What could make your life better? What could make your situation better? What would make this moment better, more nourishing? That's hospitality, not entertainment, not impressing, but making space so others can belong and be nourished. Do you see the kind of distinction I'm trying to make? Yeah? Catherine and I joke that we only clean our house when people are coming over to our house. Because we feel like we need to put on our best face, right? We don't want them to know that we live like slobs most of the time. It's just me. She's not a slob, it's me. And she just lets me live there with her. So when people are coming over, things get shoved in closets, everything gets wiped down, right? We spruce it up, vacuum cleaners come out, yeah? Because I'm worried about the impression that I'm going to make. That's entertainment. What I'm suggesting is we get past that, we get beyond that. By all means, clean up your house, right? Whatever. But don't get stuck in that and not invite people to your house because you're never going to feel like your house is good enough or whatever to let people come in. Are you with me on this? So hospitality is about meeting people's needs, not about impressing them with your cleaning abilities, right? If I come to your house and your house is a mess, yes, I'm going to silently judge you. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to love being with you, right? Mostly. Not entertainment. We're not trying to impress one another. We're not trying to impress our neighbors. We're making space so that we could meet people's needs, so that we can help people feel loved, cared for, noticed, right? That's what it's about. So I want us to make it simple and doable. Here's some easy ways for us to do that. I'm just going to try to give us some nuts and bolts. First, set the table. This is about anticipating the needs. Right? If you're going to have Sean and Catherine come have a meal at your place, you need to know that gluten-free, dairy-free is part of our life. Right? You just need to know that. You're going to anticipate that. If we show up and you've got the most beautiful lasagna ever, made with just regular old pasta, full of all kinds of cheeses, my wife is probably going to say, "Thank you very much. I hope you had some salad served." Because that's what she's going to eat, right? So you're going to anticipate the needs. That's what we're going to do. I put Catherine on the spot, but that's because I eat all the junk stuff, I guess. That's how that is. You see, hospitality starts before the guest arrives. Hospitality starts before the doorbell rings. Romans says, contribute to the needs. Pursue hospitality. You're going to anticipate meeting needs. That's what we're going to try to do. So pray for your street by name. If you only know a couple of people on the street, you pray for them by name. How do you get to know their names? You ask. COVID was horrible, right? The pandemic, can we all agree, not a good time? We wouldn't like to do that again, right? One of the good things that came out of the pandemic for us was we walked in our neighborhood a lot. We walked our dog around the neighborhood all over the place. And you know what a dog is good for? Making poop. Other than that, it's really good for introducing you to your neighbors. Because people come out and they say, "Oh, nice dog," and "Who's your dog?" and all that kind of, and we got to know a ton of folks. And now, because we know their names, I could pray for them by name, right? So start there. And just decide that you're going to, when the opportunity presents itself, you're going to have an invitation you're going to make. As I'm walking down the street, Rick lives a couple of doors down the street from us. We frequently see each other at a local bar and grill in Liberty. It would be so easy for me to say, "Hey, I see you over at the landing. Would you like just to go grab a meal sometime together?" Instead of just running into you randomly, how about we actually show up there together? What would you think about that? Right? I know his name. I know his dog. His dog hates my dog. As an aside, I was walking the other day. He's got a 67 Mustang that he's got. It's new. I haven't seen it before. And I said, "Wow, where'd you get that?" He's had it in storage, and he finally decided to bring it home. And I said, "Well, my first car was a 67 Mustang." He says, "Oh, yeah? Did it look like that?" "No, it didn't look anything like that. Mine was red and rust, right? Primer and holes." But we had a conversation, and so you see what I'm saying, friends? It just opens the door, and now it would not be weird for me to say, "Hey, want to go grab a beer? Hey, want to come over and hang out? We're going to play washers in the driveway later." What? You see what I'm saying? Whatever your thing is. If you're not old enough to drink, don't do that. Wasn't promoting that. Maybe you make a little kit. Sometimes you will be driving in a neighborhood and you see the same people out and about, maybe on the street corners. Have a little kit in your car. Super easy to say, "I see you, I notice you. It's really hot today. Would you like a bottle of water and some crackers?" I mean, you know what I'm saying? A little care kit. Easy to do. That's anticipating needs. That's what I'm talking. Start there to set the table. And then share. Offer what you're anticipating. Acts 2 says they broke bread with glad and generous hearts. That could be a meal in your home. The Schmids have had us to a couple of meals, which I appreciate. They're great hospitality folks. I think they delight in that. I know many of you have been to their home in the past. But it doesn't have to be a fancy thing. It doesn't have to be a special invitation. I mean, that, like you're moving or you're retiring, or maybe it's just a casual, we're going to get together. It's Taco Tuesday. We got an extra chair. Would you like to come over? With glad and generous hearts. So maybe it's a meal, but maybe it's something just like for a walk. Our neighbors, Hal and Karen, on their set, if you're watching Hal and Karen, I don't imagine that you are, but if you are, we sometimes have walked in our neighborhood, we've seen them walking. It would be nothing to say, hey, we're going to take a walk around the block. We'd love your company and catch up on what's going on in your life. Right? Maybe it's sharing a tool or jump in a car. John across the street, we had only lived in our house. I mean, it wasn't very long at all. I came out one morning and the car wouldn't start. I really don't know what the problem was. John was coming out to his car. He saw me struggling. He says, hey, do you need a jump start? Yeah, actually I do. He came over and jumped my car. We've helped shovel driveways back and forth. When I needed a stud finder, Catherine wasn't around, I just got one of those little things that you put up on the wall, and he had one. I knew he had one. Yeah. You're just going to let that Catherine joke go right by, aren't you? I'm just seeing who's awake. Just seeing who's awake out there. We've got some neighbors across the street, actually several new neighbors that have moved in, and we really haven't made proper introductions yet. So I'm really excited about what we're doing here with the cookies and the whole thing. And part of what we can do is when we go to those people and we figure out that they're new, maybe they're from out of town, the neighbors across the street are flying a Baylor University flag, Astros. I mean, I don't know what they think they're doing. Clearly, they've got some Texas connections, right? So as we have a conversation with them, I might find out that they are new to our area. Maybe they don't know where the best mechanics are, or where the post office is, or where the restaurants are. Maybe they don't know those things, and we can share with them where we take our dog to the vet and that kind of stuff, right? Anticipating the needs and then sharing what you have and what you do. That's the milk, right? The hello is just the introduction, and then the milk is meeting a need. It's helping make that experience better. It's enhancing the relationship. You're not going to guess wild needs. You're going to pay attention, and you're going to offer what those folks need. Yeah? That's what we get in trouble sometimes. We just assume what our neighbors need and try to offer things they don't really want. Let's not do that. Let's not waste our time or their time. Right? Let's ask them. Let's get to know them. Let's figure it out by being connected to them. That's what it is. And then we're going to, finally, a final step I would have for us here is just to leave room at the table. Hospitality is going to ask who's not here, who's not included. We don't have to add more events to our lives, but we could blend our lives. We could blend what we're already doing. If you're going to be out doing yard work and you see somebody else out doing yard work and you finish up, go help out. Or offer to help. Right? It's not adding something you're doing, it's just doing it. Again, I mentioned the whole dog walking thing. Be really great just to walk dogs together. Now, our dog is very, I don't know, every other dog she likes, so you got to figure that out, but it'd be fun to walk with your dogs together, right? I don't know why we don't do more of that. You're going to go to the park? Ask the neighbors. Hey, we're going to head down to the park. You want to go with us? Right? Just who could you invite? Who could you bring in? Who could you include? Romans 12 says, outdo one another in showing honor. Turn it into a competition. Make it something fun that you're going to challenge yourself to do. Learn the names, celebrate the wins. I mean, remember, we got to respect boundaries. rhythms, life rhythms, those kind of things. But and be safe about it, right? When I'm not asking you to just go up to random people and invite them into your home. But if you get to know folks, you're going to figure out if that's going to work or not. So I kind of mentioned that. Maybe some of this feels a little weird. So there are some barriers I just want us to recognize. Just let me quickly run through these. Some of us say things like, I'm too busy. Or again, like, my house isn't ready. I don't feel like it's not presentable. Or maybe it's awkward. Again, hospitality is not about adding extra stuff on top of what you're already doing. It's about making opportunities as they present themselves in your ordinary life. Your house doesn't have to be fancy, doesn't have to be all put together. We're real people. We're not aiming for perfection, we're aiming for relationship. The thing about awkward, yeah, it could be awkward. But love trumps awkward every time. Every time. Remembering Jesus made room for us, and so we want to make room for others. Loving from abundance, not from this place of worry or being anxious. And because when we just accept that there are some things that we might prevent us from doing that, I believe a blessing can follow. When we practice hospitality, I think something happens not to our neighbors, but to us. Our hearts stretch, our joy grows. We begin to see God adding, like Acts says, adding favor or friendships, maybe even adding faith. That's the real irony in all of this. We're aiming to care for others, but what winds up happening is God blesses us with more joy and more excitement and more energy and more fun. So let me just bring this home. Picture a neighbor. Just picture a neighbor, a face, a name if you know it. And I just want you to ask God, how could I make life better for that person this week? Picture that person. If you know their name, say their name. God, how could I make things better for John this week? What's the milk that I could add to the cookie I've already offered? So, our par. Shooting for par. Pray, act, reflect. Ask God to reveal that deeper need. That's what we're starting with. Someone who could use more than just a cookie. And then I want you to act. Choose a simple way to meet a need. Choose a simple way. Time, presence, help. Maybe it is a meal, an encouraging word, some conversation, right? You're going to pray about the need, and whatever the need is, whatever need is revealed to you, you're going to act to meet that need. And then reflect on what happens. How did it feel? How did that connection grow deeper? What did caring look like? Or did it not work? And if it didn't work, what might you do differently? What did you notice about the person? What did you notice about yourself? Par. As I was thinking about all of this, I was reminded of a friend just this past week. We used to work together at a church several churches ago. We worked together, and we were working primarily on creating a new worship experience. That was the cookie. It was the reason why we were working together. I mean, we were on staff together and working together. It was a point of connection. It's why we were spending time together almost every day. Well, one weekend, he invited Catherine and myself, our two children, they were much younger then, to his place, an apartment, for dinner. He and his wife wanted to host us for dinner. And when I entered, he offered me a Guinness. Again, I'm not promoting drinking, but I enjoy a Guinness from time to time. That is an alcoholic beverage. He had one for me, offered it to me as I came in the door. I was a little surprised because I knew that Guinness was not his thing. He didn't enjoy Guinness. That was my thing. We had spent enough time together that I knew that wasn't his deal. He served pasta. He and his wife had made some pasta for us. We weren't gluten-free or dairy-free at the time. It was delicious. Yum. Afterward, he brought out carrot cake, one of my favorites. I didn't recall him ever mentioning that he liked it, I think I even said something to that effect as I began to notice, wait a minute, Guinness and pasta and carrot cake, these are like all my favorites. And I said something to that effect, and he said, well, yeah. You've talked about liking these things, and so when we had you come over, we wanted to share the things that you liked. Oh, wow. Right? In that way, I was able to experience, I didn't, if you want to help somebody feel loved, known, appreciated, accepted, invite them to your house and share with them all their favorites, right? It was amazing. It was wonderful. Nothing that was his favorite. Not that he didn't enjoy the meal and I didn't enjoy the carrot cake with us, but they were about meeting our needs, my needs in particular. You see, hospitality that way is a spiritual practice. It invites us to understand love in a deeper way, the kind of love God offers us. What God reaches into our lives and showers us with blessings and gives us grace, not that we deserve or that we earn, but that we desire, and we are grown deeper into relationship with God as a result. It creates space where we get to experience the divine in a way we might not otherwise. That's what hospitality can do, even between us. So today, as you're leaving, some of you, I know, are thinking, Sean, another sermon, love God, love your neighbor, blah, blah, blah. He'll say it again next week, and there'll be more stuff, and then we'll keep going. Friends, we're not moving on from this. This is it. If you show up next week and I say something other than love God and love neighbor, an alien has taken me over. It is not me, right? That's your way of knowing. Somebody has replaced me somehow. This is it. So when you go out today, don't hope for another message next week. This is it. We are going to love our neighbors. That's what Jesus invites us to do. It's not a Sean thing, right? So as you go out, I want to give you tools. I've given you some ideas. I've given you some suggestions. I've even told you a heartwarming story from my past, right? But I want to give you some tools, some things you could take with you. Here is a neighborhood bingo. My friend Stephanie Mutert, our apprenticeship director, put this together. You could walk through your neighborhood and look for the things on this sheet. A red car. It's right there. If you take cookies to a neighbor, you can mark that off on your sheet. Friends, if you bring these in, if you get a bingo and bring this in, I will, what will I do? I hadn't really thought that out. I'll give you carrot cake. I'll give you your favorite dessert. How about that? I'll take you out to a meal. And if you don't want to spend time with me, I'll just give you a gift card. I want to meet your need. I once had a staff that I thought that would be a good thing. I could take them to lunch if they found prizes and things. And surprisingly, that was not the incentive I thought it would be. Bingo. Fill it out, bring it back in. Let's have some fun with this, right? Let's have a little fun. See how it goes. What was that? Well, somebody plays bingo here. And so I was not thinking it needs to be double X or whatever the postage stamp. Yeah, I wasn't thinking that. I was just thinking like a line, whatever that's called. You don't have to black it out, no. I was just thinking a line. So it's really only 4 things because there's a free spot right in the middle, right? Figure it out however you want. We'll put it in for a drawing. We'll see what happens. That's how we'll do that. And then we passed this out last week, 10 easy steps to be a great neighbor. These are the kind of the start with hello stuff, and then there's some follow-up steps that could be more like the milk, right? There's this, and on the back, Stephanie has put, she added to this. We had the neighbor thing out before, but now she's added a little neighbor grid. This is your house is in the middle, and you're supposed to figure out who lives around you. I live in an apartment complex. I don't have people that live behind me. Friends, come on. Just put some names on of the people you're going to meet. That's okay, right? If you do live on a block in a suburban neighborhood and you've got people all around you, great, do that, right? We've got a green space behind us. It's a forest, right? It's woods. Well, it's a creek with some trees. But I'm going to fill this out with the names of other people I know around us, right? Get their name, figure out their name. If you begin to know their name, then you can start having deeper conversations about who they are. You can pray for them specifically. So I've got a few tools for you. This weekend, I've already mentioned it, we're going to have a cookie. We're going to go out into our neighborhoods and give out cookies. Some of you have said, I will bake cookies and I will let you go knock on doors. Okay, right? Takes all of us. And if you're baking cookies and I'm knocking on doors, that's part of us working together. Some of you started to decorate some plates. We were out, Catherine and I were out at the Hobby Lobby, and we found these plates, 3 cents a plate. You can't beat that. I picked up 144 of these. I would have picked up more had my wife not been with me. We did leave some at the Hobby Lobby. However, we picked up a bunch of these, and the Be Creative With Us folks have started to decorate some of these, and they've started, take one, pass it on. Right? I don't know who did that. This is fun, right? Yeah, was that Lisha? You did that, Lisha? Well done. Well done. I mean, they're all great, but I mean, that's fancy. Somebody had fun with that. Share the love, have a cookie. They put a little house on there. That's beautiful, right? That's wonderful. If you have an opportunity, we'd like to decorate some plates. We have many more plates for you to decorate anytime this week. If you came up to the church, and there's somebody here, we've got some markers. We would love for you to decorate your own plate. If you don't decorate plates, that's okay. If we take plates out that aren't decorated, that'll still work. Next week, do not try to get out of this. We are going to meet our neighbors. It's going to be simple. It's going to be easy. Safety in numbers, right? Yeah. Okay. Let's pray. God, there are some folks here that say, yeah, whatever, Sean. They're going to go about their day-to-day, and it's going to be almost as if they never came to church, never participated in this worship experience. And God, that's okay. Because I know you meet us right where we are, and not all of us are ready for this. But God, I know that you are the God who does not give up on us. You are persistent, if nothing else. And when we are ready, we know, God, that you will empower us and strengthen us and encourage us, and you will open the doors that allow us to meet our neighbors. So, God, for those that are preparing already, they're already thinking about the ways in which they're going to meet a new neighbor. They're already excited about the opportunity to share little bits of their life with the many different ways we've talked about doing it. There's somebody already thinking about their bingo card. Would you fan that little spark of curiosity and maybe a little bit of joy? Would you fan that into a flame that consumes them, that they are unable to think of anything else but loving you and loving their neighbor in real and practical ways? And would you help us to learn by their example? Would you help us to see the ways in which we can transform this world one life at a time, one neighbor at a time, our life transformed? Would you help us, God? I pray this in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.